Thank you for coming to the 2025 Davenport Election Forum. We would like to thank St. Ambrose University for the donation of the Rogalski Ballroom for this event. St. Ambrose University would like the public to know this event is not an endorsement of any candidate or political party, but an investment in the community with the goal of helping inform their friends and neighbors of the upcoming city election. The Hilltop Campus Village is Davenport's historic Main Street district, home to small businesses, students, and families working together to revitalize our city's core. They are focused on preserving historic character, supporting local entrepreneurs, and building an inclusive, walkable community that connects Davenport's past to its future. This forum is being live streamed as well as being broadcast by KWQC on Cozy. We kindly ask that all attendees refrain from taking video or audio recordings during the event. All candidates in competitive races were invited to participate in this forum. This program uses a question and answer format. The alderperson candidates will be asked a series of 5 questions with up to 1 minute to respond to each question. Mayoral candidates will also be asked a series of 5 questions and have up to 2 minutes to respond to each question. A sound will indicate when the candidate's response time has expired, and they will be thanked for their response. All candidates have confirmed they received their questions in advance of today's forum. Lastly, we ask that the audience applaud when the candidates come onto the stage and when they exit the stage, and refrain from making any noise during the question and answer period in respect to all the candidates' time. And now I'd like to introduce the candidates for 3rd Ward Alderperson. An alderperson's role is to pass ordinances, set city policy, and respond to constituents' concerns. The 3rd Ward Alderperson serves as an elected representative for the residents of downtown Davenport, the Gold Coast, the Hilltop area, and parts of the West End. Please welcome candidates Jim Contois and Paul Vasquez. Thank you both for coming. I'd like to start with Jim for the first question. On Main Street Landing, with the development of Main Street Landing, how do you envision your role in further capitalizing on this investment in the 3rd Ward?
Thanks. So I think the Davenport's riverfront is probably its greatest natural asset, and I'm glad we're actually leveraging it. I think it differentiates us from neighboring cities. However, if you look at what has worked down there, the most vibrant space downtown is really the farmers market, which is really its infrastructure is an empty parking lot, a 100-year-old building, and is organized by a nonprofit that relies on a bunch of small businesses to succeed. So, and it's able to attract thousands and thousands of visitors on any given weekend. And I think there's a lesson there. If we just rely on our local government to catalyze that space, I think the whole endeavor would be not necessarily a waste, but would be in jeopardy. So how do we capitalize on the investment? I think we must work with other entities, whether that be existing groups like the Downtown Davenport Partnership or the Freight House Market, or encourage something new to emerge and have something like the Mercado.
Thank you very much. I'd like to turn the question over to Paul.
Yes, thank you. I envision my role as alderman to promote it. I want to promote that project to residents of Davenport, to the Quad City residents, as well as all kinds of visitors, everybody that comes. I want it to remain affordable. With what's going to happen down there, it needs to be affordable. To me, that's paramount. That way everybody can enjoy it, all right? It's a great thing. It needs to be developed, but it also needs to be flood mitigation. That way, if the flooding can stop, okay, we can control it, then people can go down there and they can enjoy the park, the ballpark. I'm sorry. the farmer's market, all of it at one time.
Thank you very much. The second question I'd like to have Paul answer first. In regards to West End development, what necessities do you believe are needed to revitalize the West End of Davenport, and how will you advocate for sustainable growth?
Okay, on that one, let's take a look at the ward, okay? Take a look at the neighborhoods. A neighborhood needs safe streets, safe sidewalks. It needs a place where children, family, everybody's safe. Everybody can enjoy it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's not going well. Pardon me? Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, thank you very much, Paul.
Lost that.
Jim?
Sure. I think there are a couple areas worth touching on. I think one of the best decisions the previous council made was deciding that the ARPA funds would go to the Duck Creek Sewer Project, which it's not the most glamorous project, but it's a major public works project that will allow the area near or I-280 to be developed. So the land north of the city, which is where Amazon and Sterilite have built facilities, is all now spoken for. So we need members on the council who will understand this and can leverage this new investment on the west side of Davenport. So second, I've walked through a lot of areas that are a mix of well-kept homes, but also surrounded by dilapidated and abandoned structures. I'd like to find more expeditious ways to remedy this blight. I support strengthening existing programs like DREAM. Look forward to working with private groups like Habitat for Humanity, Rejuvenate Housing, Ecumenical Housing to really restore those neighborhoods. And lastly, I know that many people have felt the loss of Hy-Vee. Gotcha, okay.
Thank you very much. The next question is also for you.
Sure.
On property and landlords, considering the 324 Main Street collapse, how would you strengthen accountability for negligent landlords while ensuring building safety inspections are consistent, transparent, and fair for responsible property owners in the Third Ward?
Sure. So I think an important first point is that I feel that the owner of 324 is mostly responsible for his own building, and its neglect is really to blame. He's liable, and hopefully the courts will decide that. But since that tragedy, the city has adopted a few new codes. They've included increased inspections of masonry buildings. More issues are now subject, landlords with more issues are subject to more frequent inspections, and tenant protections have been strengthened. So if things are not properly abated, they will not have to pay rent, as I understand. So going forward, I would push for more hiring of more inspectors, because I think these added responsibilities have stretched them thin. And I would expect proof that they have policies in place to ensure consistency and thoroughness.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Paul?
Okay, as far as landlords and property, to me, I'm sorry. No, I'm done, I'm sorry. This is not going well, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Paul, the next question is for you as well on homelessness. What types of policies would you advocate for to address the issue of homelessness in the Third Ward?
Okay, homelessness, it's a problem that the entire community needs to address, okay? There's going to be no easy fix. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm done.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. And Jim?
Sure. So I live on West 3rd Street, just in from the post office, and I'm pretty sure I interact with the homeless population on a more regular basis. Sure, sure. Okay. Oh, no,
No,
that's fine.
thank you very much.
Okay, we're good? Okay.
Yes.
So I was saying, I live on West Third Street, just in from the post office, and I'm sure I interact with the homeless population more than any other candidate you're going to hear tonight. But I also live next to a husband and wife who have been in the same home for over 60 years, and they deal with trespassers all the time. So, and legitimately, I have concern for both. So I think there's a few things that we can focus on. First of all, Davenport's third ward has the highest concentration of services for homelessness. I Googled homeless services for Bettendorf, and the only locations that came up were in my neighborhood. So I think services need to be distributed throughout other neighborhoods and also other cities within the Quad Cities, not just Davenport. I also want to support organizations who have proven their ability to lift people up. 180 is one I've become familiar with. They help people find jobs, become sober, reconnect with their kids. I value what they do. But I also live a block from King's Harvest, who have people sleeping on their sidewalk on any given night, so.
Thank you very much. One last question for the two of you. I would like to start with Jim.
Sure.
Just one key takeaway. What do you see as your most important responsibility to residents if elected?
Sure. You know, I've been asked by quite a few people why on earth I would do this, and it's a good question. I've never run for office. I spent the last 17 years being self-employed, and I don't expect this to be a new career path for me at all. But when I moved my business onto West 3rd Street, I saw potential. Though my ward is a little gritty, it's the most diverse. It's filled with small local businesses, some of the most affordable properties in the entire Quad Cities, and a lot of residents who take pride from where they're from. So, and they know how to roll up their sleeves. So, and it all happens to be on the footsteps of the most vibrant downtown in the entire Quad Cities. So, seeing opportunity and using creative problem solving is what I've done my entire life. If I get this job, I think my biggest responsibility is to embrace these challenges and use those skills to rejuvenate our neighborhoods.
Thank you. And Paul?
Okay, this is not my strong suit. I'm sorry, I don't feel that good. But anyway, I think my greatest strength is sitting people down who have opposing views. I've been able to negotiate and get them to compromise. And I think that's what I can bring to this job. I can make people commit to solving problems, make them look at the other side of the problem. In that way, that's the way we resolve issues. There's a lot of things wrong, yes, I know that. But when each side decides it's the only right way, the only point of view, that's when nothing gets done. And I want to make everybody listen. I want to make them aware of our ward, aware of our city, and I want to solve the problems that do face us. There are a lot of them. I still think I can do that. But again, I'm sorry right now.
Thank you very much. And thank you to the candidates for spending your time here today. Please give them a round of applause. Moving right along, I would like to announce and introduce the candidates for 5th Ward Alderperson. The 5th Ward Alderperson serves as an elected representative for the residents of the Village of East Davenport, neighborhoods surrounding Vanderveer Park, Annie Wittenmeyer, and the Hilltop area. Please welcome candidates Tim Kelly and John Blunk. Thank you both for being here. I'd like to start with the first question for Tim on vacant properties. What vision do you have for acquiring, demolishing, or rehabilitating properties that have been vacant for extended periods in the 5th Ward?
Thank you for that. I see something completely different. So being a resident of 50-plus years, these properties, I've seen folks that these were affordable homes for them. So what I would like to see, instead of a lot of corporate interests that come in and buy the houses and flip, actually putting the houses in the hands of folks that these will be affordable homes for those folks, and the city giving them an opportunity to learn how to be a first-time homeowner, helping them learn the assets that the city has, like the DREAM programs and all those things that are available to them to actually help them flip that house and make it a house that they could actually live in and they could stay in their neighborhood, my neighborhood.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
John?
The demolition of a vacant property is always the last option. And as far as rehabilitating, I want to credit the Davenport City Council, as well as Alderman Tim Kelly, for expanding the DREAM program further into the 5th Ward of Davenport, as well as other areas needed to do so in the city. The DREAM program is certainly a win-win for the residents, the neighborhoods, and the tax base. And for the past couple of months, I've been knocking on doors throughout the 5th Ward, well over 1,000. And I knew this going into it, and I've always felt this way. There are great people in great neighborhoods in the 5th Ward, not only south of Locust, but also north of Locust Street as well.
Thank you very much. The next question is also for you to begin. Small business development. What is your vision for revitalizing small business districts in the 5th Ward, such as the Village of East Davenport and the Hilltop Campus Village?
Let's start with ward meetings in both the village as well as the Hilltop Association. Maybe I am able to bring in members of the city's economic development team. We can share their ideas. Maybe we've missed a few things, but I think it's important to have a dialogue between all three of us. In addition, I would say that as far as any further things I want to say too about the ward is that I will be attending regular meetings in both the 5th Ward as far as for the Hilltop and also with the Village of East Davenport. The Village of downtown in the village. And I would say too that it's important I'll be meeting with those folks as well.
Thank you very much. Tim?
Thank you. So I like this question because there's a lot of folks that have reached out to me that have ideas, and since I've been an alderman in the city of Davenport, I have helped and watched people grow. So bonbons was an idea that somebody came to me and we spoke about, and now bonbons is on Brady Street. Ink therapy was an idea that people, so I just like to come, I don't offer much, but what I offer is I've brought them to the entities of the city that have helped them to get to their businesses, and now they have open businesses. So I love the fact that I have a couple businesses that I can say I was instrumental in helping open in either the Hilltop or, both of them are actually Hilltop, sorry. So, well, still the 5th Ward. You know, so just being there, listening and helping people try to take their idea to the finish line is what I plan on doing if I stay in my role as an alderman, because a lot of people don't realize the resources that the city have that can actually help you, because small business is huge for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next question is for you as well. Infrastructure improvements. What infrastructure projects and investments do you see as most important for the 5th Ward for its long-term growth?
Thank you. So infrastructure to most folks typically is the streets and pipes and things of that nature, but people don't realize that the sidewalks, the alleys, anything that is walking, driving, things of that nature, I feel like to help with infrastructure, I feel like we need to focus on the bigger picture of not just the streets and not just the few things, because the other day I had somebody call me over a street light. And I was cracking up laughing, but I called it in. All they had to do was call Mid-American, you know what I mean? So there's big focuses that we have to pay attention to that will be more sustainable to have good infrastructure if we actually put all these pieces together more than just roads. Does that make sense? Thank you.
Thank you very much. John?
The 13th Street Bridge replacement is certainly one of those things we have to address. That bridge has been closed since 2018 because of safety concerns, certainly. And nearby bridge neighbors have been waiting, I think, patiently to get that bridge demolished as well as replaced. I've also talked with residents along Jersey Ridge. They'd like to see something done about the high speeds towards the village of East Davenport. Perhaps we can get maybe a traffic motion light or something to check the speeds at the intersection with East Street and Duggleby at Jersey Ridge. In addition, I've talked to folks on Harrison Street that are upset with the traffic lights at 16th and Harrison, as well as 14th and Harrison not being replaced just yet, because they say that's adding to the high speeds, as well as pedestrians are having a tough time crossing the street in that area.
Thank you very much. The next question is for you as well, on public safety. What policies would you advocate for to improve public safety in the Fifth Ward, including issues such as loitering, vandalism, theft, and homelessness?
Public safety is always going to be the city's #1 concern. And I know the police chief, Jeff Bladel, he has said that crime rate is coming down, and that is a good thing. I know he reported that the violent crime rate has dropped a good 25%. The property crime rate has dropped a good 6%. That's over the last 5 years. Any credits? Good Davenport police work, certainly. Citizen involvement, and the assistance of nonprofit groups. So I'd certainly like to see that continue, as well as getting involved, more neighborhoods involved with the Good Neighbor Project in the city of Davenport, which is led by Sergeant Andrew Harris with the Davenport Police Department. I'd like to see my own neighborhood on East Lombard involved in that as well.
Thank you very much. Tim?
Thank you. I would like to say things of when it comes to the loitering and all the things that you had asked in this question, I want to credit the police department for the work that they're doing, and I want to continue that work, but I sometimes think just because we're short-staffed, if we had more of a police presence that we have in other portions of the city, if we could get that in the Fifth Ward, it would be amazing. And I don't mean just a drive-by, I actually mean like a drive-by, a walk-through, things of that nature, so when people actually see a police presence, they'll stop doing what they're doing, one. And when it comes to the homelessness, I believe that if we actually started addressing some of these issues, like so I and some of the other council members have focused on social work. If we could actually partner with and get more social workers on the police department so we can deal with some of the mental illnesses, some of the drinking and drug substance abuse that these folks are actually going through every day, because just to house them does nothing for them, because it's going to put them back out on the street and they're going to do the exact same thing, and it's going to be a problem and a nuisance throughout the city. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And the last question is for you to start with. One key takeaway. What do you see as your most important responsibility to residents if elected?
Thank you. My most key importance is going to be, and always has been, my responsibility to my constituents. I am elected to be a voice for the voiceless, or the people that don't want to voice their opinion because they feel some kind of way about the city, any kind of retaliation, this, that, or the third. So I always want to be the person on the front line as far as my phone stays on to midnight. I drive around my whole ward, so my presence is known. And so I just want to continue to be the present force that I am today. Thank you.
Thank you. And John?
The most important responsibility I see as an alderman would be helping to work as a team member in establishing the upcoming budget, because it's that city budget is how we use your tax money to fund the various city programs as well as the capital improvement projects. We have to remember that the Davenport residents are our boss. And speaking of tough decisions, we're going to have to make some. And I learned a lesson the other day working at Costco. One of the young guys asked me how the campaign was going, and I told him, I said, door knocking can get a little testy. And he said to me, John, you're not doing it because it's easy, you're doing it because it's hard. And isn't that what John Kennedy said? And it sort of got me in the moment, and I thought, well, I'm going to have to go by that. So I look forward to making those hard decisions as a team member on the Davenport City Council in the best interests of the city citizens.
Thank you very much, John, and thank you both for your time today. Please give our candidates a round of applause. Thank you again. Now I'd like to introduce the candidates for 6th Ward Alderperson. The 6th Ward Alderperson serves as an elected representative for the residents in the neighborhoods between Interstate 80, Utica Ridge Road, Locust Street, and Eastern Avenue. Please welcome candidates Ben Jobjan and Liz Zaharopoulos. Thank you both for being here today. Ben, I'd like to start with you first on public spaces. What public amenities do you believe are most important for the 6th Ward, such as parks, playgrounds, green spaces, or recreational facilities?
Yeah, I think Duck Creek Park and access to the multi-use trail is the 6th Ward's most important public asset. You know, the 6th Ward is a big economic driver for the city of Davenport with many commercial properties, but we do lack public space. A recent park study showed that the northeast part of town is lacking parks, specifically neighborhood parks. While we added Jersey Farms Park a couple years ago into the system, we're still lacking those spaces. Duck Creek Park serves as that gateway. It's a great first impression as you come into the city of Davenport from the east side. You know, we got the lodge where people can gather. We got the gazebo, the gardens where people can take pictures, get married. We got the tennis courts there that are often utilized, going to be repaired this fall and next year, converting into some pickleball courts, which are always high use. And then we have our golf course, which is a great public amenity. It also serves as an enterprise for our city, which can generate a little revenue. And so with that, with access to the trail there close so that we can get near to the other public amenities, it's our most important.
Thank you very much. Liz?
Yes, ma'am. Safe and well-maintained spaces, they're essential for a healthy community. While in the 6th Ward, Ben mentioned, we don't have nearly as many of the small neighborhood parks, we do have several well-loved, very well-used amenities, such as the Veterans Memorial Bike Path, the Duck Creek Park that you mentioned, the Duck Creek Bike Path. So many of the residents I've spoken with, they share a strong desire to see the Goose Creek extension extended all the way to the south, to the river, to connect all these trails through a dedicated off-street route that is safer, because safety is a real concern. It would make it easier to get around town and be much safer for all involved. At the same time, I've heard a top priority should be safety and maintaining the spaces that we have before we expand. As your next 6th Ward Alderman, my plan is to actively seek feedback and listen to residents to ensure that any improvements to our public spaces reflect your priorities, safe, connected, and welcoming for everyone.
Thank you, Liz. The next question is for you as well, on small business development. What types of small business development projects or initiatives do you believe would most benefit the 6th Ward?
All right. Small businesses are the backbone of our community. Supporting their growth is one of the best ways we can strengthen the ward and the city as a whole. Earlier this month, Council approved a pilot program for small food-related businesses in the Rockingham corridor. If this program is successful, I would like to see it expanded across the city. I also think it's important to ensure that our new small businesses are aware of existing federal programs through the Small Business Administration that can help them thrive and be successful. I want to make sure we attract the businesses that we actually want. Restaurants, cafes, service providers, boutiques that keep those dollars local. As your next 6th Ward Alderman, I'll work to ensure the policies truly support entrepreneurship and success, where small businesses can grow and succeed, and again, by actively seeking that feedback and listening to constituents. Thank you.
Thank you. Ben?
Thank you. As I mentioned before, you know, the 6th Ward is a significant driver of the commercial economy in Davenport. Look at the Utica Ridge, Elmore, East Kimberly, East 53rd corridors. We've got a lot of strong businesses in there, which I want to remain strong, and I think will, mainly because of their geographic proximity, right? I think the city should probably focus more of our small business initiatives to those areas that need it. As mentioned, Rockingham corridor, look at Locust Street all the way from west to east, and then even the North Park Mall. However, I think there's some things that we can do from initiative-wise to help businesses in the 6th Ward. First, we have the solar energy ordinance updates coming through. I think we need to make sure that we don't generate any unintended consequences, which may allow that valuable land to be gobbled up, may cause increased cost for starting a business. And then the other thing I think we can do is look at the Elmore Corners Overlay District. That is something that was passed through council before my time. I think it's something that has been a little over-restrictive and stifles development.
Thank you very much. The next question is for you as well. Infrastructure improvements. What infrastructure projects do you believe are essential to benefit the residents and businesses of the 6th Ward?
For the residents, I think we continue to properly fund our neighborhood road repair program. I can name you a dozen roads in the 6th Ward for which I advocate for repair each and every year. I've had some initial preliminary talks with city staff about trying to increase that budgeting, and if reelected, I want to work with my fellow council members to increase that amount to $8 million a year, trying to designate $1 million per ward. For businesses, I think we've done a pretty good job of maintaining our high-volume roads. Most specifically, the East 53rd corridor. We need to keep looking at Elmore and Utica Ridge because those are highly traveled. Next year, we will have expansion of the intersection at Utica Ridge and East 53rd, which is going to help congestion of left-turning vehicles going north and south, which will be good for both residents and businesses in the area.
Thank you very much. Liz?
All right. We have to prioritize areas where sewer backups occur regularly after heavy rains. I've spoken with several residents in the 18th Street, Marlowe area who continue to experience basement flooding despite previous improvements to the local lift station. While those updates have helped, they haven't resolved the issues the residents are facing. We also need to take immediate action on our failing roads. For example, the Carriage Hill Fernwood area, residents have reported a hollow section, a very large hollow section under the city road, an issue that could affect several homes and is quite frankly a very popular access point to the Duck Creek bike path. Both of these issues have been reported to the city and our current alderman with minimal response and no resolution. At a very basic level, safe and reliable infrastructure is not optional. It's the foundation of a functioning community. As your next 6th Ward alderman, I will make it a top priority to push for these repairs and investments that residents have been waiting on for far too long.
Thank you very much. The next question is for you as well. On city collaboration, due to the ward's proximity to Bettendorf, how do you view your role in shaping agreements for shared services and projects in collaboration with Bettendorf?
So in this instance, my role is just a conduit of information and be a voice for the residents of the 6th Ward. Over the last few weeks, I have walked every single residential neighborhood throughout our ward, talking to residents and hearing their concerns. The overwhelming message that I am hearing is that people don't feel heard by their city government, and that needs to change. As the city's next 6th Ward alderman, my goal is to actively seek out community input before and during any discussions we might have about shared services or projects with the city of Bettendorf. Collaboration between the cities can bring real benefits, right? Improve infrastructure, public safety, and coordinating regional growth. But those decisions have to always reflect the priorities and concerns of our residents. Collaboration begins with communication. By reopening those lines of communication between all 6th Ward citizens, not just a select few, we can build a better city future for the ward and the city as a whole.
Thank you very much. Ben?
Thank you. I think we need strong and open communication with the elected officials in the neighboring wards. This is something I've done during my time on council. First with the Birchwood South, Sophie Foster rezoning and development project. Next, there's a residential neighborhood in Bettendorf that is south of Middle Road, west of Kimberly Road. These are things in which I communicated and worked with those aldermen on, right? We have open land north of Forest Grove and east of Utica Ridge, bordering Bettendorf. Should there be some residential or mixed commercial residential properties going in, that's something that I would keep that open line of communication so that we get something that we want and benefits both communities. Also, I think we need to make sure we're providing clear direction to our city administrator and effectively appropriate city staff to make sure that we have fair agreements with our neighboring communities for the shared services we have, most specifically the Humane Society and probably our biggest regional resources, the wastewater pollution control plant.
Thank you very much. And the final question is for you. One key takeaway. What do you see as your most important responsibility to residents if elected?
My most important responsibility is to be a responsive, communicative representative of the 6th Ward, right? I think we need to make sure that we are receiving those essential city services for which our tax dollars are collected. I want to make sure that we're proud to call Davenport home as a safe and clean city. You know, if these are the values of the residents of the 6th Ward, then I ask them to vote for me this upcoming Tuesday, November 4th. I think I'm the best candidate to do that, and I think I've exhibited that during my time on council. I thank the Hilltop Campus Village and everyone that put on this forum. I thank my not running mate, but my competitor, thank you, right, competitor. And you know, it's great when we've got people that want to make Davenport a better place.
Thank you. Liz?
So this election is a referendum on transparency and accountability. Residents are tired of not being heard. Backroom deals cloaked in secrecy. Yes, I'm referencing the payout to Corey Spiegel. Your alderman voted yes for that. No investigations, no formal complaints, no examination of the demand letter. Just silence until after the November 23 election, followed by a yes vote to give away $1.6 million of your hard-earned money. We live in a great city, but we really need to roll up our sleeves and put in the hard work to secure our future. My promise to 6th Ward residents, I will ensure your voice is heard at City Hall. I will use my 20 years of contracting and business acumen to thoroughly research issues, ask the hard questions, and not take somebody's word for truth before blindly voting yes for an issue. I am ready to pull up my sleeves and work for you. Nobody will work harder for the 6th Ward than I will. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your time today. Please give them a round of applause. And now I'd like to introduce the candidates for 7th Ward Alderperson. The 7th Ward Alderperson serves as an elected representative for the residents of Central Davenport between Division Street, Eastern Avenue, 53rd Street, and Central Park Avenue. Please welcome Mark Holloway and Chris Jerome. Thank you both for joining us today. Mark, I'd like to direct the first question to you. On North Park Mall revitalization, what type of redevelopment do you believe would be most beneficial for North Park Mall's revitalization, such as mixed-use development, housing, entertainment, medical facilities, educational institutions, retail reinvention, or other uses?
Thank you so much. First of all, this is an amazing opportunity for the city of Davenport. We have the opportunity to revitalize the central core of our city. I think we should go big. I think we should do something that's going to be impactful. I want to right-size the mall so we are strengthening the businesses that are being successful in the mall now. And then this is a great opportunity for us to partner with some other great entities, such as the Davenport Community School District, Junior Theater, maybe even the YMCA, to put some energy and some focus in that area that will bring people together and allow them to know that this is a great city to live and have fun at. So I think this is a great opportunity to do that, and I'm looking forward to moving forward through that process.
Thank you very much. Chris?
Okay, first of all, I think we ought to understand the city does not own North Park. All we can do is suggest ideas. With that, I have possible ideas of having the housing, new housing on the north side of the mall, keeping the main corridor of shopping. And here's a different idea. The Yonkers area, I want to make that a sports-driven restaurant. And what that means is in Kansas City, they have a sports facility called, that's associated with pickleball, and it's called Pickleball and Chicken and Pickle. Cedar Rapids, they have the Pickle Palace. I believe these are chef-driven restaurants that have the sports facilities. By having that in Yonkers area, that'll provide an exciting thing for Davenport. And this will be a draw to the mall. Davenport needs to think outside the box, and this is one of them.
Thank you very much. The next question is for you as well on property and landlords. How would you strengthen accountability for negligent apartment landlords while ensuring building safety inspections are consistent, transparent, and fair for responsible property owners in the 7th Ward?
Okay, in dealing with negligent landlords, the inspectors need to make sure progress is being made on repairs. If repairs aren't being made, then fines need to be levied. And if that isn't being done, then the city needs to step in and take appropriate action. I believe the inspection reports need to be on the web that everybody in Davenport can see. They need to be transparent, and this will assure that. Our inspectors should have the support of the city. However, I think in recent events, the people of Davenport are very leery of the reports that we're getting. So people of Davenport need to regain this trust. And by our inspections of our buildings, these actions should help provide with the trust of these inspection reports.
Thank you very much. Mark?
So I think the first step we want to do is make sure that we are enforcing the laws that are already on the books. I want to make sure that Public Works has enough inspectors, that there are enough people to make sure that the new laws that have come about since the collapse of the building are being enforced properly. Also, too, I think it's important to look at local management, right? Should we really be having landlords that live in California or Texas? You know, I think we should have a proximity requirement. If you want to be a landlord in Davenport, live within an hour drive of the community, right? To make sure that you have an investment. This is not just a way for you to make money, but you're investing in people's lives. And so we want to make sure that there's some proper investment. Also, too, we need to make sure that the landlords and the tenants are aware of eviction mitigation providers. There are a lot of services in Davenport to make sure that people don't get evicted. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next question is for you as well on infrastructure improvements. What infrastructure projects and investments do you believe are essential to benefit the residents and businesses of the 7th Ward?
Wow. There are a lot of exciting things going on in Davenport, and particularly the 7th Ward. But anyone who knows me knows I love football. And in football, you have to do the blocking and the tackling. And infrastructure is just that. We need to make sure that our streets are in good condition. I have traveled all around our ward, and the number one thing I hear about is, hey, we need to have our streets repaired, or these young people are driving way too fast. Can we put in some speed bumps? I think it's important that we make sure that we invest that our communities are safe and that the streets are well maintained, and this infrastructure is also important for our business development and growth as well. So make sure that we focus on our streets and our sewers to make sure we can mitigate any problems in our quality of life.
Thank you, Mark. Chris?
Okay, in 7th Ward, we saw the reconstruction of the bridge on Brady Street. And we're seeing now Harrison Street being built. I believe we also need to take a look at the Marquette Bridge as well. I believe we need to take a look at the 35th Street between Marquette and Harrison and rebuild the street with sidewalks on both sides. I think we also need to look at the bike path between Harrison and Eastern. Many sections of this bike path are below grade, water collects in there, and it becomes a hazardous, and I know that for a fact. And also other areas in that path are in bad shape. I believe we need to promote 35th Street between Marquette and Harrison Street. There are empty buildings. There's an old fire station that's not being used. Maybe put housing or some type of shopping or anything. These projects are great improvements, and we need to do that. Like water mitigation in some areas, we need to take a look at all these things.
Thank you very much. The next question is for you as well on flash flooding. What projects or programs do you believe will be most beneficial in mitigating flash flooding along the Duck Creek and Goose Creek areas of the 7th Ward?
I think, first of all, Davenport needs a certified flood mitigation engineer who understands water issues. By handling water upstream, this controls the water going downstream. This is called a cumulative effect of water mitigation. I propose widening the actual creek beds in areas along Duck Creek. And a mitigation engineer would be better to pinpoint which is accurate spots. But you got the Marquette Parkway, you've got Junkie Park. If you widen the beds wide enough, it will slow the water flow, thus preventing the water becoming a major problem in the areas where we have the flooding on 35th Street and you have Goose Creek. And I believe this needs to be done. You can't contain Mother Nature, but you can't help direct the water. And that's what I propose we need to do.
Thank you very much. Mark?
So this is really affecting me personally. I had a large family event back on July 10th and 11th where the rain just kept coming and our streets were flooded and the parks were flooded. I think it's very important that we take a really broad assessment of what streets in the city of Davenport are susceptible to flooding and do a major assessment. Again, starting where we're at, make sure we're properly cleaning our sewers, make sure we're properly cleaning our streets, so then when the rains do happen, our sewers are able to contain those. Also, too, it's important that we have a flood response plan, right? When the floods come, when the heavy rains come, what can Public Works do? What can emergency management do to make sure that the citizens are safe? And then also maybe possibly look at permeable surfaces or looking at other green solutions to our water overflow.
Thank you very much. And the final question is for you to begin with. On one key takeaway, what do you see as your most important responsibility to residents if elected?
My key responsibility to residents, if I am elected, is to operate with integrity, because I would love to tell you I would know what's going to happen in the next 2 years, right? But most time, things just pop up. And you need to know that your councilman will give it to you straight. You need to know that your councilman is going to listen to you, right? That we're going to do things transparently, and with integrity to make sure that you are at the heart of everything that we do. That's what you can expect from me as your alderman.
Thank you. And Chris?
First of all, I'm Chris Jerome. I'm a retired engineer, and I'm running for 7th Ward. I have the time to dedicate to the people of the 7th Ward. And I will be honest and transparent with them. Talking to people in my campaign, many haven't seen or talked to an alderman, and I like to change that. I like to be that person that they can talk to. There was a flooding issue in the neighborhood on Fillmore and 41st Street in September. The water had come up really fast. People want to know answers why this is happening. You know, was water mitigation actually looked at when construction was being built? Are the drains adequate? These are questions that need to be answered. Also, a 9/11 call was made at that time too, and one family, nothing was responded to. This is unacceptable, and I think they need to have answers. Davenport was in a crisis, I understand that, but it still, a follow-up should have been made. Again, I'm Chris Jerome, and I'm running for a 7th Ward alderman.
Thank you. And thank you both for joining us today. Please give our 7th Ward candidates a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you. Now I'd like to introduce our at-large alderperson candidates. The at-large alderperson performs the same duties as other city council members, but represents the entire city rather than a specific ward. Please welcome candidates Kyle Grip, Don Hesseltine, Jasmine Newton, and Dwayne Simons. Thank you all for joining us today. I hope you don't mind being a little cozy at the table here. Kyle, I'd like to start with you first on the first question. On economic development, what areas of Davenport should be a priority for economic growth, and how do you see your role in facilitating that growth?
All right, so first I think there's a misconception that if we do economic development in one part of Davenport that we can't do it in other parts of the city. We can do development in every ward, we can and we should. A few places specifically I'd like to see development in the coming term. A West End industrial park. We need to be moving forward with development on Locust Street or Kimberly and 280. I'd also like to see all of the growth that we've seen downtown move westward. That's why I'm recommending that we do a feasibility study of a western downtown Schmid. And then thirdly, we need to continue with our North Park Mall revitalization. That's something I've been working on for a few years. We are seeing some movement with that, but we want to see it through completion. Our job in economic development as a council is to have a toolbox full of economic development tools to make those available to developers across the city, and then to support good development projects when they come before the city.
Thank you very much. Don?
Hi. My priority would be West Side Sewer expansion and citywide housing incentives. The $30 million West Side Sewer project unlocks hundreds of acres for industrial and residential development. Our east side is landlocked, so the west side is the future. I'll keep momentum alive by pushing local hire clauses into contracts, keep money in-house or in the area, creating one-step permitting, trying to stop some of this red tape to get manufacturers and families building faster. Next, scale the DREAM grants citywide instead of certain little spots here and there. And then lastly, for seniors 65 and plus with paid off homes, I'd freeze the city portion of the property tax at $0, funded by revenue collected from the casino. And heck, we just gave away $2 million in a single settlement. We have money for that. We have money to protect retirees who've worked their whole lives. They earn a break. I'll fight to make sure to keep their homes. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Jasmine?
Thank you. So I think historically, certain parts of the city have been left behind. I mean, the reality is the west side of Davenport has not been invested in as it should have been throughout all these years. Now, the good news is that the council has approved money that is currently working on the sewer project that's going to take it out to 280, and there's opportunity for development in the west side of Davenport. But I think what's important when looking at economic development is that parts of the city not be forgotten. Another part of the city should be like the North Park corridor. We need to reinvest in that area to ensure that we are bringing businesses back in and that the city continues to grow its tax base and to grow more jobs. So I would certainly focus on the west side of Davenport, as that's really what we have left in terms of major areas of land so that we can invest and have shovel-ready sites for big businesses to come in and want to make Davenport their home.
Thank you very much. And Dwayne?
Thank you. I believe the west side should be the one that we put our development towards the most, because everywhere else they've already overdeveloped, in my opinion. And the reason why I believe that is because the congestion of everything everywhere else, they forgot about the west side 100%, in my opinion. They've let it dilapidated, and I believe that we should build that. Whether you got a $30 billion sewer coming in or not, you should worry about what's already there and how you can correct the development in those areas that small business owners or business owners are already there struggling through the whole situation. So in the long run, I think it's the west side. Don't get me wrong there. But also, you need to develop and fix what you've already got there instead of bringing always new in. Fix what you already have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next question is for you as well. On infrastructure improvements, what one municipal program do you feel the city of Davenport needs, and how will you champion it?
The city of Davenport on infrastructure, like I said, they need to fix what they have. You know, they fix the streets, but they don't fix them correctly. They don't spend the money they need to spend it. They put a thin layer of this on that street to make it get through. Spend the money. You go to other cities, the streets are smooth. They have the same weather we do. So in my opinion, you need to spend it out where you spend the money to fix the street correctly the first time, so you're not going back and doing it 3 other times in 2 months. You know, and the infrastructure, the dilapidated buildings, this and that, no one cuts the grass. You need to make it look good so people feel good about coming to your city. So they will spend money and be optimistic. So they will spend money in your city because they feel good about it. You know, you need to fix what you already have. Stop worrying about always the new. You need to fix what you've got.
Thank you very much. Jasmine?
Yes, so I would say the number one thing that I hear as a concern from constituents over and over and over again is neighborhood streets. The reality is our streets in Davenport can use a lot of work. At one point in time, the city wasn't investing in neighborhood streets. It is now, but in my opinion, it's not investing enough. So one program I would certainly champion would be a neighborhood streets program where come budget time, we allocate more funds to ensuring that our neighborhood streets are getting the attention that they need, and that they're not falling apart. I mean, some of them is worse than potholes, based on the calls that I've received or emails from constituents. So I think that we need to really concentrate on our neighborhood streets.
Thank you very much. Don?
Well, it's no secret, our streets suck. What are we gonna do about it? We need to get with our city engineers and talk to them about finding a new solution to address our failing streets. I think like Dwayne said, we can go anywhere else in the Midwest and cruise on nice streets. Here, it's an issue. We just need to figure that out and go from there.
Thank you. And Kyle?
Thank you. When I came on to the city council in 2016, I championed a street improvement program that, for the most part, we've been following. If we want to have better streets, it's going to take consistent investment over time, and here's the plan that I've advocated for. Number one, we don't use city, state, or federal dollars to build new streets. We use those dollars to fix our existing streets. Number two, every 2 years, we do a pavement condition index on all of our streets in Davenport, and then we prioritize what streets we do based on that score. Three, we put as much money as we possibly can into our streets budget every year. Four, we fund street maintenance. When I started on the city council, it was not a line item. It is now. And five, we focus on neighborhood streets. Again, when I started on the council, it was not a budget line item. It is now. If you do these 5 things consistently over time, our streets will continue to get better.
Thank you very much. The next question is to you as well on public safety. What do you see as the biggest public safety issue for Davenport as a whole? And how do you see yourself facilitating a solution?
The biggest public safety issue we have is continuing to reduce crime in Davenport. That includes stolen cars, burglary, and shots fired. I'm very proud to have been on the council that's played a vital role in introducing group violence interrupters, the community assessment program, and the crime data analytics team. These 3 innovative approaches have led to a reduction in crime over the last 3 years, and we need to make sure that we continue to do that. What that means in the coming term is these programs were all funded with one-time ARPA dollars, which are set to expire, and the city council needs to recommit to these 3 programs so we can continue to reduce crime. Public safety is the most important issue in Davenport. We need to ensure that our police and fire departments are fully staffed, have the equipment, technology, and training they need so that they can be effective.
Thank you. Don?
My biggest issue would be the broken trust between police and residents, amplified by perennial tragedies. I speak from personal pain. DPD Officer Bach murdered our family member Miss in front of women and children. That should never happen. The department must root out bad apples instead of protecting them and tarnishing the good officers. Solutions I'll champion. Neighborhood foot patrols. Officers assigned to walk beats, meet residents, and build real relationships. Citizen police partnership consuls in every ward to restore trust and shift from guilty until proven innocent vibes. Let's look at getting some security cameras for residents, funded by grants or other means. When officers know the community and the community knows the officers, crime drops because fear turns into partnerships. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jasmine?
Thank you. Every 2 years, there's a survey out to the public regarding its priorities, and consistently, public safety is number 1. Here in Davenport, we have among the best departments. They are accredited, like CLIA accredited for our police and for our fire. And one thing that we know is that the crime has actually gone down. Our shots fired has gone down, and we have some of the best men and women working in this region. However, the number 1 issue is actually hiring and retention. Our department is not fully staffed. Last I knew, we had about 20 officers that we needed to fill for positions, and that's been the biggest public safety concern that our city has seen. So I think we need to concentrate on ensuring that we get a department that is back to fully staffed so that we can adequately serve the needs of our community.
Thank you. Dwayne?
Well, what I see in Davenport is, do you ever see anybody drive 100 miles an hour? I mean, and you ever see a cop pull anybody over? I mean, it's pretty sad. I mean, they're flying around everywhere in this town. Half of them have no license plates. We need public safety there. I'm afraid to walk out in the street and think I'm gonna get run over. I mean, it seems like we have money to do this, we have money to do this, but we have no money to pull anybody over and give them a ticket. Maybe we'll have more money if we pull the people over and give a ticket to. And you know, how many times have you seen them go through and they run a red light? 3 cars back, they ran the red light because no one stops them, because they know no cop's gonna be there. You know, it's common sense. If you put more cops on the street, you will have better success, even pull them over just to check to see what's going on. Not saying give them a ticket every single time, but you know, and then I looked at the jail list in the last 2 weeks. We had 181 people go to jail in Davenport in a week. That seems awful lot. You know, how do we solve those problems before they go to jail?
Thank you very much. The next question is for you as well on balancing priorities. What framework or principles will guide your decision-making when city-wide priorities conflict with the urgent needs of specific neighborhoods or when resources are limited? And that is for you, Dwayne.
When resources are limited, well, you have to go to all the other, you got grants for this, you got grants for that. You have to figure out where your money works the best for the neighborhoods that need the most. Don't always go to the high-end neighborhoods because they've been built in 1990. Go to the neighborhoods that have been built in 1900s and put your money where, you know, so you can rebuild your infrastructure in those neighborhoods to make the Davenport a better place. We seem to forget. We always go to the rich side of the world, but we always never go to the other side of the world. And it's kind of crazy. Everybody runs, oh, in a rich. They've overpopulated 53rd Street because everybody ran there. Now we can't even make $10 in the West End because no one's there, because we overpopulated that. So we didn't balance correctly. We need to balance our books correctly and move that money where it needs to be moved to instead of everything going to one side of the city. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jasmine.
Thank you. So when it comes to government, obviously resources are always limited. It's something that we constantly struggle with. As finance chair, I have ensured that we maintain fiscal responsibility in the city of Davenport. Now, this question asks, what do you do when that conflicts with an urgent need of a specific location? Well, if it's urgent, it should be addressed. It's that simple. We shouldn't be waiting till something happens like a building collapse. Urgent needs should be addressed, and what we should do is actually ensure that we don't end up with situations where there are urgent needs. We should be proactive in addressing these kinds of issues and ensuring that the city is taking care of all parts of Davenport.
Thank you very much. Don.
Sure. Basically what I would do is put myself in residents' shoes. You know, imagine living or working downtown next to an abandoned building filled with drug activity and untreated mental illness. Every day you're harassed, see up in drug use, or you can step over human waste. No one should live like that. Especially when they're working hard to pay rent or run a business. My framework on something like that would be assess human impact. You know, the safety of that, the dignity of what's going on down there, and the quality of life for everyone. I'd balance compassion with accountability. I'd help those in crisis and protect the residents. And then I demand efficiency. No sacred cows. If a program isn't working, cut it. If a neighborhood is suffering, redirect resources. I'd ask, if this was my family, what would I demand? Then deliver.
Thank you. Kyle.
I think this is a really good question for aldermen at large, because this is the epitome of what we do, which is to look at these issues from a citywide lens and do what's best for the city as a whole. Our resources in Davenport are limited. We have more needs than we have money to address those needs. So I have 2 guiding principles on this. The first thing is that the budget needs to align with the priorities of the people. Each year, our citizen survey says that the top 3 issues in Davenport are streets, public safety, and economic development. If you look at our operating budget, 70% of our operating budget goes to police and fire. If you look at our capital budget, the majority of our dollars go to streets and sewers. So we are aligned with your priorities. My second principle is that we must serve all 8 wards. So when we get our budget book in January, I go project by project and make sure that we've got projects across the city of Davenport, and that means streets, that means parks, that means economic development, that means everything. All 8 wards have to be served.
Thank you. And the last question starts with you, Kyle. One key takeaway. What do you see as your most important responsibility to residents if elected?
My biggest responsibility has always been to make sure that your priorities become my priorities. So I listen to what the people of Davenport tell me, and then I make sure that our budget reflects those priorities, and I make sure that that's where I spend my time and energy. What I've heard consistently over the years is we want better streets, we want to feel safe in our neighborhoods, we want a strong local economy done through economic development, and we want a better quality of life. People want to be proud to live in Davenport. What you can expect from me is that I'm going to bring solutions to the conversation, not just complaints. You can expect that I will be a cheerleader for Davenport. I love this city. I love living here. I think it's a great place. I will tell that to absolutely anybody who will listen to me. And finally, I will always have a vision for what a good Davenport looks like, and I will always push Davenport towards trying to realize that vision. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Don?
To be the voice you've been waiting for, loud, honest, and unrelenting. The residents are tired of being ignored. If you elect me, I won't just represent you, I'll amplify you. Every decision, every vote, every closed-door meeting will be guided by one question. Does this help the people who trusted me with their future? From seniors facing tax foreclosure, to dodging potholes, to a family afraid to walk at night. Your fight becomes my fight. That's not a slogan, that's my promise. Thank you.
Thank you. Jasmine?
Thank you. I think it's quite simple. My responsibility to the residents of Davenport is to lead by example. If you want a government that's responsive, transparent, and accountable, you need a council that is responsive, transparent, and accountable. You need elected officials that are willing to do the right thing, that are willing to lead by example, that aren't just going to, hit all those buzzwords come election season, and then once elected, forget those promises. I would say actions speak louder than words, and I think the last 2 years, as I've served the city of Davenport, have spoken loudly to the people where I stand. I will continue to be a voice for the people so that our government can be a government of the people, by the people, and for the people.
Thank you. And Dwayne?
If you elect me as alderman at large, I'm not a sugarcoater. I'm going to tell you how I see it. And if you don't like to hear it, I'm sorry. Sometimes it's going to hurt. But that's what it's all about. That's why we have a city council, so people can come and voice their opinions, and we can listen to help take care of the problems of the city of Davenport. I'm a resident of Davenport, been here all my life. I own 2 small businesses in Davenport, so I'm working in Davenport. I'm here for the people. That's what we're here for. I'm here for small business. I'm here to revitalize the places that they forgot about. I'm here, when you're driving down the street, you're not losing half your car. I'm here for common sense city council, reality, now big payouts. Have a good day. You're not getting it from Davenport if I'm on council. I'm here to say no every time, not say yes every time someone wants something. Don't be afraid to be the odd guy out. So if you elect me, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to fight for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you for your time today. Please give our candidates a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you very much. And now I'd like to introduce the candidates for mayor of Davenport. The mayor of Davenport serves as the city's top elected official. They preside over city council meetings and are responsible for assisting citizens, serving on regional executive boards, and appointing representatives to city boards and commissions. Please welcome candidates Judith Lee and Jason Gordon. Thank you both for being here today, and just a reminder that the mayoral candidates have 2 minutes for their responses. I'd like to start with Judith on economic development. What is your vision for your role in facilitating economic growth and job creation across the city of Davenport?
First of all, I am really excited to see all you here. This is a wonderful indication of where we are. Economic development. I believe we have 2 aspects of it. One is, of course, the large businesses, because that's where we get the bulk of our property taxes. So we have to have that. And the city has several industrial parks, and it's putting in the sewer for another industrial park out past 280 along Duck Creek. That's a good thing. We're going to have to work hard after we get the infrastructure in to start attracting what I call smart growth, companies that bring in good wages, good benefits, and are going to be sustainable. When they say they're going to start, they start. They don't wait 2 years. We've had a problem with 2 companies that put things on hold for 2 years, and we sat there and waited for them. Second balance is small businesses. That is the heart and the vitality of our cities. And we need to make sure, particularly in a contracting environment that we're looking at now, economy, that the city is able to support small businesses through good processes. What I would like to see is the city facilitating a group, bringing together a group of people who can help small businesses either get started, or if they're starting to run into trouble or they want to grow, where they can get mentoring. They can be introduced to sources of funding. They can get ideas. They can actually find out ways to work together. And I think the city would be a good way to facilitate that cooperation and collaboration. And it would be free of charge to small businesses, because we would bring in experts and just companies that are interested and willing to help.
Thank you. Jason?
Thank you. And first, I want to thank the Hilltop Campus Village for organizing this forum. I really appreciate the invite. So economic development and job creation are not passive endeavors. It takes persistence, dedication, and consistency to attract new jobs to Davenport and retain jobs that are already in Davenport. So first, we can't take a passive approach to creating a new industrial or technology park in West Davenport. It is not a given that this development will happen simply because that sewer line is being put in. We have to actively work with our local economic development partners to get land under control and get that land site-ready with specific site information for developers. Secondly, we need to ensure that the business connection conversations are happening between city economic development staff, local economic development partners, and existing businesses with the goal of identifying barriers and then removing those barriers so that growth and job creation can continue to happen with existing business. And again, existing business always year over year is about 80% of your growth. The mayor's role in all of this, in my opinion, is collaborating closely with council on these economic growth and development priorities and consistently communicating this vision and these priorities to staff and asking them to execute them on behalf of the mayor and the city council. And, you know, again, I've been the chair of the Greater Davenport Redevelopment Corporation for 8 years. I've been a member of that board for 15 years now, so I've been intimately involved in every economic development deal since 2010 in the city of Davenport, so I feel pretty confident about my abilities in this space.
Thank you very much. The next question is for you as well. On infrastructure improvements, what do you see as the most crucial and critical citywide infrastructure projects you intend to advocate for?
Sure. So I think the most critical citywide infrastructure projects are continued investments, in particular in streets and sewers. And I think the previous candidates did a good job of kind of talking about some of those priorities in their respective wards. So I thought that was good to hear. You know, and we need to continue the sewer investment in particular to keep any Iowa DNR consent order from happening. And so that was something that was a potential concern for the city when I was on council, that if we didn't take significant investment on our own in the sewer infrastructure, DNR would issue a unfunded consent order and basically have us meet a multi-million-dollar infrastructure project to basically force us to get our sewers up to where they need to be. I think we're heading on the right track in that regard, and we need to continue that investment to make sure that the Iowa DNR looks on us favorably in that regard. And then again, I think our vertical infrastructure is pretty good in Davenport, so all the buildings are all relatively new. We got a brand new fire station in number 3. Downtown Central Fire Station in downtown is only about 10 years old in terms of its renovation, so the vertical infrastructure is good. I think we need to continue our focus aggressively on streets and sewers.
Thank you very much. Judith?
I believe, as everyone else has said, we have got to focus on our streets. We're an old city, and a lot of our streets are just old, some of them underlain with bricks. So yes, we have to do that, but I also think part of that is we need to have a more transparent process for identifying and prioritizing our streets and which ones are going to get rehabbed and repaired. And I think that should be very public. When I was on council, I only saw one list of even what the streets that were going to be rehabbed were going to be. I also believe that we need to work better as we do our construction with the affected businesses and residents, as well as get our projects started and done. If they're not, then they should be fined, penalized for not meeting their agreements. 2, I also was very excited to hear the question about stormwater and flooding, because we have a serious problem here with our, as we continue our development, getting more stormwater runoff and flooding, particularly of our creeks. We've already addressed the Mississippi River, but we have got to work with the Corps of Engineers, and we've already got a program for that to look at our watersheds. We need to look at both structural and engineered type solutions, as well as natural solutions for addressing our stormwater runoff that leads to flash floods. And third, I actually think, and this is an easy one, we've got a lot of streets that have 4 lanes and they're too narrow. Turn those into 1 each direction with a turn lane. One of them, for example, is Marquette. That's something we can do cheap and ready and do it with paint. So there's my infrastructure ideas.
Thank you very much. The third question you get to begin with as well, on public
Okay.
safety. How do you see the mayor's role in strengthening collaboration between law enforcement, local organizations, and residents to make crime prevention a shared community effort?
I like the way this question is focused on prevention. And that, in the New York Times, they actually said that's the best thing you can do first. And we have a police department that is focusing on things like trying to prevent the gun, GVI, the intervention, working with youth before they actually, at risk youth, before they actually get into some kind of crime or trouble, trying to work with our mental health, Vera French, to address the issues, because everything is not a law enforcement answer. We lost our social worker, who was funded by our COVID funds, down at the Main Street Library. That is a serious loss, and that person interacted with our police department to help identify, issues that they could address. We do have crime analytics, and that was kept from ARPA funds. So if we could keep that, I think we should bring back the social worker at the downtown library as well. We definitely need youth programs, and that has got to be collaborative with the city, with nonprofits, and with the police, to give youth something to do, particularly in the summer when crime ticks up, because they have nothing to do, and oftentimes their parents are working, so they're not home. I also think there are some parks that need security cameras, and that also would help in that collaboration.
Thank you very much. Jason?
Yeah, I think this is an area that we're making some progress as a city, and we need to continue and improve what's working. This has been talked about already a couple of times tonight, but the Group Violence Intervention or Interrupters Program, the GVI program, and the Community Outreach Program, COP, are both preventative and proactive programs built on partnerships with social service organizations, mental health providers. So you're already seeing some of that collaboration, and we need to see more of it. And in addition, partnerships with federal authorities have helped our police department be able to access databases and resources, one of which is the National Integrated Ballistic Information Network, right, which allows us to link shell casings from crime scenes to specific guns. And so there's some good things happening in the preventative and proactive space in law enforcement, and I want to continue that. And I want to also find ways, again, some things have already been talked about earlier this evening, Our PD is not fully staffed, so we need to find creative and innovative ways to try to bring more people into the business of being police officers.
Thank you very much. You have the next question as well on citizen confidence. What concrete changes will you advocate for to improve transparency in city operations, decision-making processes, and how taxpayer dollars are spent?
Sure. So, by virtue of open meeting laws, most everything the city does has to be announced to and accessible to the public. And we obviously need to continue to do that. The law requires it. Having said that, I think the mayor and council should always be looking for ways to provide continuous improvement to the accessibility of our public meetings and the platforms we use to make them accessible to those who want to participate from somewhere else other than in council chambers. And I will continue to do that as mayor. I also think that council could consider, and I believe we did this a couple of times, as I recall when I was on council, we used to take our meetings on the road or mobile meetings where we would have our official city council meetings, in the Fairmont Library or the Eastern Avenue Library or maybe the new Fairmont Community Center. Basically take them to other parts of town maybe every quarter, maybe 3 or 4 times a year, just to be a little more inviting to all parts of our community, all members of our community, wherever they live, to come and participate in their city governments. And I think City Hall, I've said this multiple times, it could be a intimidating place to a lot of people. We're sitting up high behind the dais, and citizens are sitting down in the seats. I think making that a little bit more informal in some other environments might just invite more people into the act of participating in government. So that's something I'd be interested in doing.
Thank you very much. Judith?
This is why I am running for mayor. Because our city has been doing too much work, decisions and deliberations behind closed doors out of the view of the public and sometimes out of the view of council members. We need to meet and exceed the open meeting laws, and we are not doing that at this point with sub-quorum meetings to hide deliberations from even other council members and the public. We need, when we bring on a new council, which we'll be doing in January, we need to bring them on, make sure they are trained so they're not just thrown into the deep end like we were for the 4 years. We need to make sure that we understand open meeting laws, that we understand Robert's Rules of Order, how the city works, so that they are ready to go to work. We need to bring them in earlier on discussions about our priorities, objectives, and our budgets. Right now, we get a book, and you just study somebody else's ideas. Council needs to be involved as the leaders of this city with the mayor as the CEO of the city to make sure that they are involved early. We need to have more, that table in council, that's meant for doing office hours in terms of bringing people together, open work sessions that the public can watch where we talk about activities, projects, and programs that are coming down the pike, not just at 5 o'clock on Friday when it shows up on an agenda. We need to make sure that council and the public, with the coordination of the mayor with the new city administrator, are working in open, honest, and transparent ways where the public can actually watch. We can't do things in outside areas because we don't have the ability to film those and put them up on the video.
Thank you very much. And I'd like to give you another question, let you start here on one key takeaway. What do you see as your most important responsibility to residents if elected?
What I just talked about. We serve the residents and the businesses and the people of this city. That's why city government exists. By being open, by being honest, by setting priorities that are driven by all the people of the city. Our survey does not reach enough people, and we do not make enough effort to reach out to underserved areas that don't have computers to answer questions, that don't have the time to come to meetings. We have to find ways to reach out to them because those drive our priorities. Open, honest, and compassionate. No more closed room deals. And we've got to stop the current violations and the past violations, including the payouts of the open meeting laws. You cannot make decisions in executive sessions, yet that is what was being forced upon us, and I did not contribute to that. I said, continue negotiations. It was not a decision, and I did not contribute. And we need to work better as a partnership between City Council, with the mayor as the helpmeet, the partner, and the new city administrator, and how we work with the directors to get the information to council that they need early, that it's comprehensive, that it's accurate, and that it's complete. And that is not happening right now. That is my primary responsibility and my duty to the people of this city.
Thank you. And Jason?
Sure, and thank you for that question. I think because of the situation we find ourselves in, I think certainly on this list of our responsibility, or my responsibility if I'm elected, is to ensure that we hire the best city administrator that we can, the council and the mayor, because we have that task first thing when we get into office in January. To be honest, open, and candid with the residents of Davenport, to build a good rapport and relationship with the new city council so that we can work together in a collaborative and honest manner. That doesn't mean we will agree on everything, but it does mean that we can be agreeable even when we do disagree. And a high-functioning, collaborative city council will be better for all of Davenport and the entire Quad Cities. And to work aggressively to ensure a diverse and growing tax base to keep our tax burden reasonable and proportioned fairly across our entire city, particularly with the likelihood of property tax reform coming out of Des Moines in 2026. And I'm pretty convinced it's coming. And we need to be at the table advocating on behalf of the city of Davenport to position ourselves to weather that reform as best we can. And then last, I think it's to use what I call the soft power of mayor. The mayor doesn't have a lot of formal power per city code. The mayor doesn't vote. He can break ties. So I think the beauty and the power and the ability of a good mayor is to use that soft power, again, to get that collaboration, to get folks to make decisions on behalf of the city of Davenport and work with them in a positive manner to get them to see the reasons to do those things. So that would be my response to that question.
Thank you very much, Jason. And thank you both. And since we do have a little bit of extra time, and we'd like to end on a lighthearted note, something a little more easy for everyone, we have just a few more questions to ask you. And Judith, I'd like to start with you.
Okay.
The first question is, the Bettendorf City tagline is a premier city. What tagline would you propose for the city of Davenport?
I propose Davenport. It's home. Doesn't a home, I mean, sometimes it's messy, sometimes it's wonderful, it's entertaining. There's all sorts of things, and I see Davenport that way too. Davenport, it's home, is my tagline.
Thank you. Jason?
Yeah, that was a pretty good one. I would
I thought so.
I would probably go with Davenport, a resilient city. I think resilient describes Davenport pretty well. I think we've got a long history of overcoming, major Mississippi floods, derechos, and I think we just got a resilient city, and I think we have a resilient citizen. So I would say Davenport, a resilient city.
Thank you very much. The second question, Jason, I'd like to direct to you. What is Davenport's best kept secret that everyone should know about but doesn't yet?
Well, this was a tough one too. I love the Riverfront Trail. I love Centerbrook Park. I don't know if they're the best. Centerbrook might be a bit of a best kept secret. I don't know how many people know about it, but it's an amazing park. But actually, I took a different approach on this question. I think it's the state of the city's finances. It doesn't seem maybe to be as communicated as accurately to the citizens as it should be. We have extremely healthy reserve balances. We have a very healthy bond rating. That allows us to do more in our capital improvement budget. And so I think if I'm elected mayor, I want to make sure we're communicating accurately and consistently about the state of finances in the city of Davenport, because it's a good story to tell, And we have some options in how we want to do things and the way we want to use our finances, particularly in the light of property tax reform, because the city has been diligent in building up those multi-million dollars worth of reserves in multiple different accounts. So I'd like to stay the course on that and communicate more proactively about that to the citizens.
Thank you. And Judith?
I thought about this a lot. I like Sunderbrook, you bet. That's a hidden gem. However, in the last 6 years, and even before, I've lived here for quite a while, I have found that it's the people of Davenport that are the best kept secret. We have so much diversity. We have so many wonderful, interested, caring people who are living their lives and want better for Davenport. They want better for their lives. And I really think the best kept secret is us. We who live here, who work here, who play here, and who help each other, and who pull up when something needs to be done. And who, they come out and tell us when they don't like something either. I appreciate that. That's a good thing. So, best kept secret, people of Davenport.
Thank you very much. And the third question is to you as well. What one thing do you admire about your opponent, and what's one thing people would be surprised to learn about you?
Me first?
Yes.
Okay. I worked with Jason on the GDRC as a member of council. He ran a good GDRC, and he knows development. That's good. Me? You may not know that I live trapped black bears all over Maine. We did a research study, living in campers. It was wonderful. I was in the back country all the time. And I learned how to anesthetize a bear. I learned how to take data from bears. I learned how to create traps to safely catch bears. How cool is that? And the other thing is, I also worked in Idaho and Utah, and I tracked bighorn sheep where they would drop me off on one side of a mountain range, and they'd pick me up at the end of the week on the other side of the mountain range. I lived under a tarp. I lived under bologna, butter, and Triscuit for a week. But I did it by myself, and I saw some of the most beautiful country, and working with bighorn sheep was amazing. I was on my own, so I know how to be independent. I also know how to work with people, but I want you to know that those are some exciting things that I've done.
Thank you. And Jason?
Yeah, thank you. Well, I've spent a lot of time, particularly this week, with my opponent, and I think she would agree with that.
Yes.
Judith is very passionate about what she believes, and you can see that passion when she communicates and is talking about the reasons she's running and the platforms that she's taken. One thing you don't know about me, I forgot about that part of the question. But I guess a fun story. Several years ago, I had the privilege to, my wife and I, to meet Willie Nelson backstage at the Adler. And I thought there'd be a lot more people back there than there were, but it was just Emily and I, and then Willie Nelson came in. And we were taking photos, and one of the cameras locked up, and so I stepped out to put my code into the phone for more photos. And behind my back, Emily kissed Willie Nelson. And true story, I turned around and I said, no one else really there, Willie's manager and Willie and Emily and I said, did you just kiss Willie Nelson? And Willie Nelson, this is a true story, he said, don't turn your back on me, brother.
I
That's
think I was
very
at
cute.
that concert. It was a good one.
2011.
But I
Thank
didn't
you.
kiss him.
Thank you. Thank you both. I know you've both been through the gauntlet this week, and I think you still have some more debates coming up. So best of luck to both of you. And thank you for your time today. Please give our mayoral candidates a round of applause.
I'll see you tomorrow again.
Thank you. Best of luck to everyone, and thank you again for attending the 2025 Davenport Election Forum. And thank you to the Hilltop Campus Village, St. Ambrose University, and KWQC for supporting this event. Please be sure to vote on Tuesday, November 4th. Polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. And thank you, everyone, for coming today. I thought I was going to run out of water.